Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sacred Knights podcast. I'm your host, JF Richards, and today I want to talk about a topic that a lot of people are talking about, and has become a major conversation among creators: the use of AI. This is one of those topics that brings out a lot of opinions, concerns, and questions. Some people are excited about it, some people are cautious. Most people don't strongly dislike it, and a lot of people are somewhere in the middle. Still, trying to figure out what they think. Today, I just want to talk about it in a thoughtful way. AI has become more common in more creative areas, including writing. Some authors use it for brainstorming, others use it for organization, some use it to help reword sentences. Some can even help come up with pictures that can be used for references. Some people like to use it to explore possibilities or get past writer's block. Others tend to avoid it because they feel it takes away the human side of storytelling, or more like it takes away creativity in people. But honestly, I think this conversation matters because writing is personal. I know stories don't come from nowhere. They come from imagination, emotion, struggle, experience, perspective, and the human desire to express something meaningful. That is why so many people feel strongly about protecting creativity and the role of author. I understand how that feels. I mostly have used AI for a lot of things. I use it to help with organization, and I do try to help use it for to help like plan strategies for promotion of my book. And I usually try to use it to help come up with images for my characters based off of my descriptions, or some of them based off of artwork that I have actually worked on. I don't really view that AI is taking away creativity. More likely, it's more of a tool. Because since we use tools to help do things a lot faster, like working on a computer to write your story, or using something to create something, it's not, there's always possibilities for something. And yes, it feels more like a shortcut, but more likely, I think it's mostly because it's trying to add stuff in based off of your words. It is it's important to know that tools have always existed to help creators. Writers used editors, spell checkers, writing software, research tools, outlines, feedback, and all kinds of support systems for years. For some people, AI feels like an extension of that idea, another tool to assist the process. But the real issue is not just whether AI exists, the real issue is how is it being used. There are many people who will say that AI could destroy the creativity that all humans are capable of. But I know that it can't just make stuff out without input. In fact, most of the AI tools I have used, they can't use anything that they can't use anything original without something being input by a human being. Like I write a story, like say I write a story about a human a human discovering that he can talk to his dog. It may it may I may start that out as a concept, and the AI may come up with multiple ideas. But it's not generally the AI's fault, because it's all in fact the AI is prone to make mistakes. In fact, sometimes it will add on stuff that is not that you don't want to use. It mostly would be used for like possibilities. And generally when it comes to writing, you have full control over what's going to be in the story. It is your story. You have you have to choose how to write it. And some stories I have brainstormed, I did use AI assistance for, but I thought of them as a way to help. I would try to come up with a story, and maybe it could at least help me brainstorm ideas on how to get it to work properly. Because sometimes it may try to help incorporate more integration into the story, such as it may try to connect things a lot sooner, and a lot of people will struggle with it. But one of the things I will always try to do is try to at least get the framework of the story done first and not have to worry about involving AI. If an author is using AI to brainstorm or using ideas, check phrasing, or help them think through a scene, some people may see that is no different from using other kinds of creative assistance. In fact, most of the creative programs that we've used to help publish books, all of them are basically earlier are like blue they're like blueprints to the original idea to what AI is now. Right? Writers are always going to be finding new ways to do these things. But if anyone is relying on AI to do the actual creative heavy lifting in a way that replaces their own voice, their own effort, or their own imagination, then that is where many people start to feel uneasy. Because readers are not just concerned with words on a page, they connect with with the person behind them. They connect with the heart behind the story, the choices behind the characters, the meaning behind the struggle, the imagination behind the world. The that human element matters. I think that the biggest concerns people have is authenticity. People want to know that a story has real heart behind it. They want to know the author actually cared, actually created, and actually brought themselves to the work. And that is a fair concern. The next concern is fairness. A lot of authors spend years working on ideas to build their craft. They struggle through drafts, self-doubt, revisions, and hard lessons. So Naturally, some writers worry that AI could make it easier for people to skip that journey and still present themselves as creators without putting the same kind of work. That concern is understandable, but I also think there is room for nuance. Not every use of AI is the same. Using it to brainstorm is not the same as using it to replace your creativity. Using it to explore ideas is not the same as handing over your whole story. There's a difference between support and substitution, and that difference truly matters. For me, I think authors should be careful, honest, and thoughtful about the use of AI. I do think that true creativity should come from the writer themselves, but I do think they could, if they are careful, and maybe they could use it for some, they could use it to, in fact, they could try and use it just for like brainstorming, or better yet, try and help make the stuff work. The goal should never be le, never let never let a machine become the heart of your story. If AI is used at all, it should stay in the role of a tool, not the soul of the work, because the soul of a story should still come from the author. It should come from the person who cares about the characters, the meaning of the journey, and what the story stands for. And that's what makes storytelling truly matter. At the end of the day, it's not just a technology conversation, it's a creative identity conversation. It forces us to ask questions like, what makes a story truly ours? What does authorship mean? And how do we protect creativity while still living in a world where new tools continue to appear? I think important questions are out there, and I do not think all the answers are that simple. I do believe readers should try to value the honesty, creativity, and heart. And authors should never lose sight of that. A story should feel personal, it should still feel internal, and it should still feel human. So, whatever people will do in support of AI in writing, or whether they reject it or in between, I think we can all agree on one thing. Storytelling matters because people matter. The writer's voice matters. The imagination behind the work matters. Whatever tools exist, the human core should remain at the center. So, in other words, try to go with less and less use of AI. In fact, if you want to in fact, if you're using it for image creation, maybe use it to help, maybe to help give you references, such as create a reference photo that you can use to help create the actual artwork you really want to use. And I really think AI can be revolutionary in its own way, but I don't think it's truly taken away creativity. And most generally, it won't exactly all be perfect because it makes mistakes just like any other human. And mostly, I think it's capable. It can't truly create the whole story because it needs to know what. It can't create anything further from what than what you start with. Well, Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sacred Knights podcast. I'm JF Richards, and until next time, keep reading, keep imagining, and keep the adventure alive.